Hello? Okay. Uh, okay, scuffed. Awesome. We're gonna go ahead and do the intro again. Welcome everyone who's here. Welcome to Amagazel Gorilla, In World, and obviously at Gorilla Super scuffed. Apparently, I need to reset my microphone. It wasn't working correctly. Now it works. We're gonna have a talk with Spiro in a moment. I hope the whole thing is gonna be fun. I have this article. We might go through it a little bit, but it's mostly probably gonna talk just about it, and then I'm probably gonna go ahead and talk to him about his coming debate, which is very interesting to me. So I'm gonna change the scenes real quick, and once I do, I'll be gonna put a little bit of music for a little second, check everything is fine, and then be back. Okay. Oh, they should be able to hear you now. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Hello, folks.
awesome. So, I was. Let me see what I want to do. I went on and checked one thing, which is this article from MIT. Oh, yay.
Yeah.
Wait, I think I did it in the wrong place. That's matter. Yeah, this is an MIT article. It's talking about video game and crunch and all that stuff. But
yeah.
before that, I'm gonna go ahead and just ask you a few questions so that people know who you are, and you can ask me questions as well, just to have like
Sure.
an idea of where is it that we're going and what we're doing, right?
Sure. Sure.
So I believe that
Um.
your name is Spiro Floropoulos, if I'm not mistaken.
Holy crap! You got it right. Which is, I mean, you're Mexican, so it's a little bit of a shocker, but you did get it right. Holy crap!
Okay.
Let the racism begin, right?
Yay!
Yeah.
Yeah.
we're
Well,
here. We're here to talk about AI with Spiro today. Immediately devolve into racism.
immediately. Well, in all honesty, like I tend to be able to my racism is mutual, but it goes against another group of people that I'm not gonna say because
Right.
I will get demonetized. Um,
Right.
and that's because they can't understand me. But everybody knows who.
Oh yeah. Everyone knows. We all
Everyone
know. Yeah.
knows.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I believe you're a coder. How long you've been coding for?
Uh, I have been coding I would say getting close to 25 years, something like that, around there. Maybe just a little bit under.
25 years? My God.
Yeah, I'm old.
You
I'm
you
at
don't look
least,
old.
well, you're my new best friend. I'm like maximum. I'm halfway through my life at best. At best.
Okay. So,
If I live to be 80.
I'm halfway through my life, 85. Makes
Oh, man,
sense.
it's rough. Man.
I think you're a family man. You'd have to tell me about your family, but I believe you're married, right?
Yes, I am proud. I'm a proud husband, proud father.
Okay.
I have a beautiful wife whom I love dearly and is way too good for me, far better than I deserve. And in some ways, okay, in some ways, she also doesn't deserve me. All right. I mean, come on, I'm a little bit of a giga chad. All right. Like,
Okay.
so, okay, so it's mutually beneficial. But, anyways, I probably get more out of it than she gets out of it. So she sacrifices most things. So yes, I'm a husband and I'm a father. I have a daughter who has to grow up in this world
Mm-hmm.
around degenerate scumbags, and I would like to combat the degenerate scumbags so that my daughter does not have to fend them off.
All right, that makes sense. Let me go ahead and put
Yeah,
this real quick here, and I'm gonna make a little changes, so so that people can
professional
see you.
streamer, by the way. Professional streaming. Who wants to see
I'm not a
me?
professional
No.
streamer. It's like my third week of streaming. Okay.
You don't know? Once you're past day 3, you're a professional streamer. Okay, so here's the deal. If you're gonna put my stupid face up,
Uh huh.
that's fine. But a lot of your audience is gonna get turned off by it. So what you have to do is you have to make a deal with your audience.
Mm-hmm.
They have to pay to get my face off. And if they don't, I will start putting an AI overlay to make my face even uglier than it is, which is next to impossible.
Okay, I don't have any way to monetize the channel yet. Literally, I told you I'm not a streamer. So
I know. Okay, you can pay me then. Pay
yeah,
me and I'll take my face off. Yeah.
you can pay you can pay Spiro for that. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just started. I have like Cash App, but I don't feel confident yet of asking people for money.
Yeah, it might be like I understand it might be early. And it's probably good to know what you're asking for. Like I'm getting to the point where I have to stream. I have to consider streaming less and asking for more money because it's super time consuming.
Yeah.
But I have a format that I can ask money for. And if you don't know your format yet, yeah, I can understand that. It might be difficult to ask money for something like you don't know what you're streaming for, right? However, what I will say, Emmett, is that if you can find entertaining ways to add entertainment to your content, even if it's not a consistent format because you're figuring it out, sometimes what you can do is just ask people to pitch in, $1 or $2 so that you can do something entertaining for them, right? And it could be as stupid as like a little image you generated with AI, like what Rob does, even though I hate it with every fiber of my being. Um, but just something to consider. There are little ways you can do it, so you can get people engaged,
Well, I was
and you
thinking
just
about.
ask for like a buck or two.
I was actually thinking at some point of making the uh, development streams. Do you know about Lower Class Simulator, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna go to a point in which I wanna go ahead and actually fund the game and make the game during streams. Do the pirate software thing, but actually make the game. That's the that's the idea.
Right. Right. Don't stick to YAML, and don't pretend like you're a hacker, and don't just generally be a huge jackass. Got it. Okay.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, this is the by the way that he is the dumbest person that I ever seen in my life, and I don't mean that as he is completely dumb, as in he doesn't know anything. He says he could just say sorry the first time. he had like 3 months to say, okay, I fucked up, I'm sorry, and nothing would have happened. And instead, he doubled down to the point of he being completely done with his streaming career.
Yeah. So, if you do just like a little bit of research on Pirate Software, uh, he's he's very much your typical leftist, unfortunately,
Mm-hmm.
and like in very many ways. Anyway, I won't get into it very much, but yeah, he has chosen to fight a few battles that have not been kind to him. And it's reflective of kind of like his personality and the way he thinks and stuff. So
Yeah, he's
it's unfortunate for him. It's also unfortunate for everyone else because people like him, Pirate, and people like him, others in the space, are harming the industry more than they're benefiting it.
mhm.
But from their perspective, they're benefiting the industry more than they're harming it.
Well, one of the problems that my actual problem when it comes to the gaming side of whatever he's doing, because I don't care, I don't mind, I don't really care about his game, I don't care about whatever he's doing. Like, I
Sure.
don't care about
Yeah.
his development process, and I don't care about him, and I don't care about his game. But the fact that he uses Kickstarter, doesn't deliver the game, and it just reflects bad on the indie industry, and there's less people willing to actually invest on a game by an indie developer just because of people like him.
Yeah. Well, he. Yeah. So this is actually maybe this is a good segue into it. He, he kind of is in between two lines where he considers himself an indie game developer and to some according to some metrics he would be, but then the Stop Killing Games initiative in Europe came out, which essentially was just a a proposition. It wasn't even a fully fleshed out, piece of law. It was a proposition to discuss a potential law where if you purchase a game, I think this actually is great. It opens up a lot of doors on it. So you can kind of steer the ship here. It's your stream, but I'll
Mm-hmm.
bring up a few points here. You pick one and go for it.
Yep.
So the Stop Killing Games initiative in Europe opens the door for if you pay for a game, you get to keep the game.
Yeah.
Much like when you went to a physical store and you purchased a cartridge for, the Nintendo or a CD for PlayStation or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have some right here in the back somewhere. You probably can't see them, but they're right there. You get to keep the game. It's yours. You have a physical copy.
Yeah.
And at some point along the way, a whole bunch of us got hoodwinked. Those wily crooks um, somehow convinced us that it's okay to purchase a game digitally, and because it's digital, you don't get to keep it anymore. And so when the company decides to shut down the game, you've lost your access to the game. One of the news articles I went over on one of my streams actually shows the terms of use from Ubisoft. It's a
Mm-hmm.
legal requirement you sign for Ubisoft games. I think earlier this year they implemented it. If they remove a game from like public availability, by legal terms of use acceptance, you have to destroy any physical copies you have. So it's getting even worse. So the Stop Killing Games initiative says, no, let's stop that. If you purchase a game digitally, you get to keep it. And what's weird is that Pirate Software defended the big guys who promote this the most because they make the most money.
Yeah.
And he went, well, what do you want to do, bro? You want to keep, online multiplayer games running forever and their servers and stuff running forever and all of that? No, this is bad and terrible. And he essentially went on the side of AAA's, even though, you would expect someone like him to not really be on that side based on what he says on stream. But then you think back on his history. He worked for Blizzard. And yeah, he doesn't like World of Warcraft right now, but he has a history of working for the big guys too. So it's a it's a real weird mix, hodgepodge of, I don't know, I don't even know where that guy lands, but I guess that's typical for a leftist because they all like not consistent, don't make sense.
Well, this is. I don't know if you catch this yesterday. I'm gonna go ahead and go into the segue. and then I'll
Sure.
bring it a little bit back. But talking about leftism in general, they don't have a moral standard. So whatever they think is the moral thing is the moral thing, right?
Yeah.
So if at that
Yeah.
moment in time in life you think that going with the big company because that's what you want, well, that's good because that's what you want. So
Right.
it all devolves into power at the end of the day. If you read any of the actual literature from communism, from communist and socialist, they all devolve things to power because that's the only real thing that they believe in. Like
Yeah.
power is the moral thing at the end of the day. That's what it means. Going back,
Yeah.
the Ubisoft terms of service, you're correct. It asks you to destroy any physical copy you have of it and any digital copy you have of it, which is
And digital?
wild.
I didn't. Oh,
Yes,
damn.
digital and physical copy of it. If they decide that they're not gonna go ahead and give you access to a Scott Pilgrim, the game, for example, which happened
Yeah.
for a while, like only the people who bought the game were able to play the game because it wasn't available anywhere.
Right.
With the new terms of service, they would be required to destroy the copies of that game that they had, and they would have no access to it at all. Uh,
Huh.
and this is because they're not selling you a game; they're selling you a license, and they have the right, according to whatever their idea is, to remove the
Right.
license at any point they want, because that's that's how they're viewing the what you're being sold, right?
Right. Yeah.
So in this case, if
Yeah.
you have a license, they don't want you to have the license anymore. They can just remove, even though you paid for it. So I obviously I'm pro the whole Stop Killing Games initiative. It makes a lot of sense that you will have access to the games and that you would need. I think there's I think Steam was like against the idea of just destroying games or access to games that you buy from them in Ubisoft. For what I know, Steam still has. If you buy any game on Steam, even if it's not available anymore, you still have access to it. Um,
Yes. I'm pretty sure you're right. Yeah.
and they've been like fighting. That's one of the reasons why a lot of people still prefer to buy games on Steam if they're gonna buy digital. And it's because you simply
Yeah.
still have access to the games that you buy, even if the game is well. If it depends on servers, it might not be accessible. But if it's just a game, you will still be able to download it and play it. And the whole reason
Yeah.
why most of the people accepted that was because they said without having to do all of the physical manufacturing of games, which had a lot of cost and associated with it, the games would be more affordable and easier to buy, and it would cost less, and there would be
Right.
So that didn't
Yes.
happen. None of that
That didn't
happened,
happen.
and in reality, what we've been seeing and what we're gonna see is that costs will go up and games, in my opinion, are going to have a lower quality, especially in the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
are
Well,
obviously some exceptions, especially in the indie industry. We can see some of those exceptions, but in general, I think
yeah.
that's what's going to happen.
I think it's already happening. I think it's already happening. What do you think? Don't you think it's already happening?
Yeah, I think part of it's already happening. I think, for
Yeah.
example, there are some, there's also a lot of problems when you talk about certain games. But for example, Pal World, I believe used a lot of AI and stuff, but it was considered to be a good game. And the
Right.
one that actually ended up killing that game was Nintendo.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm not entirely
Ironically.
sure like where are we going to go. I know that there's going to be a lot of litigation in the next 10 years as well because there's a lot of when you use for what I remember, you cannot use any AI content and copyright it. So if you make
Uh,
an AI song, you cannot copyright the AI song.
right. I think the enforceability of that depends on the location.
Mm.
Um, if if you wanted to enforce AI generated content in China, I think you can because China's kind of the wild west of this kind of stuff. As a matter of fact, some of the world's most gross, highest gross earning mobile games
Mm.
are AI generated games in China.
Yeah,
Um, so I know that they're just all over the map. So it might depend on location, but in some parts of Europe, I know that you're right. You might even be right in the United States. I should actually check. I don't actually know the answer to
I'm
that.
pretty sure in
Actually,
the
I think you're
United
right.
yeah, in the United States
Yeah,
is correct. I'm sure of it. So you cannot
yeah,
just go ahead and make AI stuff and then enforce it. But that would also mean that if you make a game, it's based with AI, and you start using mechanics that you got the mechanics through AI. I'm not entirely sure if you can get sued by any company that implemented those mechanics before you or similar art styles. It's still wild, and yeah, that is something that I don't know.
yeah. So it,
There was
it kind of depends.
before we move I have an actual uh, there was an actual rep from Nvidia that came to my school and started selling us generative AI stuff.
Yeah.
Like they're
Okay.
like, oh, you have to use this. So I went on, and then my question was, well, let's say that I make a doodle of a thing that I want. I put it through the generative AI software, and it creates something else, right?
Yeah.
What at what point can I say this is my artwork?
Yeah.
And if I cannot say this is my artwork, and I go into creating a game and I try to copyright it, at which point, what is it? What can I even copyright about it, right?
Right.
And he was obviously completely dismissive of my question. Didn't answer anything about it because he probably didn't know. Um,
Yeah.
he was like, "Well, I was just able to do it faster," and I was like, "That's not the question. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with protections on my end, so that I can make a game and nobody can just take it and be like, yeah, this is my." He made that game with AI, which cannot be copyrighted, so I'm just gonna take the game and sell it myself.
Yeah. I mean, what? Yeah. What's preventing you from doing that?
Yeah, I
That's what
don't
it
know.
boils down to. There's like, yeah. I mean, you just summarized it. I don't even know what to say. Like that's what it boils down to. Um, I'll add in just a little bit of salt and pepper into the argument, which is as much as AI can be used to generate um, content repeatedly, like over and over again, and you can get some variation out of it. There are scientific studies showing that our speech and behavioral patterns are being homogenized at least a little bit by AI. And if you just take that one step back, you could see how mass generating artwork and music and stuff like this for games are pretty. I'm making a prediction right now. Games are going to start looking the same every time that they have an AI generated system behind them. And that's going to be unfortunate because now you're not going to have creativity or uniqueness in games.
Yeah, no. They also will. My prediction, especially in artwork, is that we're gonna see them deep in quality. Like right now,
Yeah.
the quality of the artwork for AI is probably pretty good, considering um, all things considered, it's pretty good. Now, we've seen all of the places where artists get inspiration and used to look for references, Pinterest, maybe even Instagram. Like every single image board where you could just go ahead and look for art. What is this? DeviantArt. They're just inundated with AI now. Everything is AI.
Yeah.
And if you go over there and try to look for different art styles or ideas, you still get AI. So all of it is like impregnated the mind of the artist at the end of the day. They're getting the reference from AI. Everything is being referenced back to it. Um, so I do think there's going to be a homogenization of it, and at some point AI is going to start referencing itself. And the problem with that is that AI doesn't understand a lot of things when it comes to art. They just mismatch stuff.
Yeah,
So
I would
we're
I
gonna
would be
end up
curious.
seeing that.
I'd be curious to hear your take on that. I want to hold on to that thought. I want you to think about how it's not getting some art right. I can tell you how it's not getting programming right, but I'd be curious later on or whenever you want to go into like what it's missing in artwork.
Hmm. Oh, what's missing in artwork? Well, 99% of the things that AI is doing is single character. So you see portraits, a lot of different portraits, and that's what mostly it can do. It has like ideas. All of there are moments where the hair might be wrong. Obviously, the hands was a big thing. It's been almost fixed, but it still gets it wrong sometimes. But when it comes to like mechanical stuff, they make no sense, and it has problems creating mirrored like creating things that are equally on both sides. So if you try to make a mecha and you want it to be symmetric, it will end up having problems with the symmetry. It will usually create things that are asymmetrical by default.
Huh.
This
Okay.
also happens a lot with the eyes as well. You can see that the eyes are a bit different every single time. They have like differences in the eyes because they. I think of it as because you said it yourself in one of your streams that it tries to be random at some points and it has like this random thing going on with it.
Well, yeah, yeah,
So it
yeah,
just can't like symmetry is something that it has a bit of a problem with. It's obviously like
yeah,
in the case of how it looks like it's starting to look better simply because people are still going on and they're trying to refine it in the way that the program is being created and incentives that it's being given, right? That's what I
yeah,
think. I'm not a programmer, so I don't know. But
yeah.
there are like a lot of small things when it comes to the art, which is very gratifying when you see it the first time, and then it starts to losing it little by
Right.
little, up until the point where it is like you will see it pop up, and it's nothing special at that point.
Right.
The
Huh.
other problem that I see is yes, it looks technically fine and correct,
Yeah.
but the people who were doing this kind of artwork, who were getting money for doing this kind of artwork, because at the end of the day, artists need to eat at some point, even if even if we believe they don't.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
they were the way that you iterate the artwork and the ideas create give you the room for creativity, and artists were the ones who were giving the ideas for the world and how the world looks like, and they were creating these visual like the visual basis so that the mechanics of the game could be played and they work in tandem. And
Right.
there's a lot of people that are just saying, well, we could just get rid of the artist. Uh, the programmer is the one that's going to be doing the mechanics, and then we can make it look good. But if you don't have the eye to make it look good, at the end of the day, it's going to be hollow, right?
Yeah. You know, I want to I want to think about this some more, but I'm curious then. Like I think I have a pretty good understanding of how AI generates images. We've gone over some of the papers on how it works, and I'm pretty sure that we're solid on the understanding of it. But the um so okay, so because I understand how it works, I can understand why things like what you're bringing out, which is like the symmetry, eyes, hands. Sometimes there's like a character behind it that you can sense in the drawing or whatever. I can understand why that gets lost through the process. Do you think that the fact that human artists
This
generally
crash
also
out.
do not get things perfectly symmetrical. Like you're not going to have an artist who sits down. Well, you're not often, let's say, You're not often going to have an artist who sits down with a ruler and draws lines
Hmm.
and makes everything symmetrically perfectly perfect, at least not all of the time.
Yeah.
But isn't there an element of like, but a human created this, and so it's okay? In fact, it might even be preferred.
It depends on what we're talking about. There are some cases, especially when you're doing certain design elements, um, for like there a lot of the people who used to do or who still does um, like concept art, they will give you character turnarounds, and those were or are pretty symmetrical. What you want them is to use them to create, for example, the 3D models. So they used to be
Okay.
like very symmetrical, and you had like the idea so that you could have the turnaround, and you could make all of the details of the things.
Right.
Um, I don't. I have never seen a turnaround made by AI. It's probably been done. I don't know. Uh, but that was one of
Hmm.
the things that it was like very important, and a good artist could do without mostly any problem. And in 3D, you usually just work on one side and then you symmetrize it anyway, so it didn't matter that much. Uh,
Right.
but what I mean is in the design process. Like, yeah, you can have small differences; it will be fine. There's not a much. It's not a big deal. But you even like even if the artist didn't know exactly how something worked, it will make it look like it belonged, right? So if you have a mechanism, even if the mechanism makes no sense in the grand scheme of things, it belongs to the design idea. And if you look at like some of the mechanisms that we see, they're just weird. They don't belong. This is very common in like mecha
Hmm.
art or anything that has to do with mechanics.
Why mechanics? Why does it show up like that in that kind of art? Like what's particular to that style where it's prevalent there, or where you see it, or yeah, where it's more pronounced.
Like they like articulations, especially like you can have a leg and the leg goes up into a place, and then you see a mechanism for the leg to move, but the mechanism makes no sense. So it doesn't have like an idea of
Oh,
where the thing is actually moving. It's like there, and then it's creating this illusion of, hey, this is a mechanism for it to move, but the mechanism makes absolutely no sense.
holy crap! That is super interesting. I never thought about the concept of how like when you sit a human down to go, how would this machine in a mecha game actually move? There's some logical steps that a human being would have to go through to say, oh well, when you move the arm this way, I guess I better put like this wheel, like this flywheel or gear or something here.
Yeah.
Whereas an AI system can't, it doesn't have the logical ability to think like that.
No, it just goes on and puts like gears in places, and then like they
Right.
make absolutely no sense. They're just there. Um,
Huh.
there's also a. It's been, as I said, it's been like iterated lately, but like a year ago, maybe 6 months ago, they would make one half of the body will be one kind of mechanism, and the other half of the body will be a completely different kind of mechanism. So you couldn't have any consistency of how the thing actually moved. Um, it would break hands and legs. That's pretty common. It still does it. Um, it's fine because a lot of artists have problems with that, and they break hands and legs too. But like that's one of the things that very junior artists fix. You have a junior artist, you go ahead, you show your stuff. A senior would go to your desk, they will draw over what your mistakes are, and they will be like, fix it. And then you'll have like an hour, 2 hours to fix it, and then you come back and look at it. And this is
Right.
what we usually look, or what we usually see in the artist industry, in the art industry. There will be a lot of senior goes, checks, tells you to fix something, and then he'll come back and verify that you actually fix it, and then you move to the next part of the project. Uh,
Right.
and I don't think, well, I don't know how it works with AI in a sense, because I mean, you could have a Photoshopper there trying to fix the thing, I guess, but this is the problem that I have with it, and it's something I said to you before. You have iterative art is an iterative process. You do one,
Yeah,
you learn from it, you move up, and you do it again and again and again.
yeah,
And junior artists, which are the ones that are going to be replaced, they need to have this iteration to be able to do that over and over again. And if you
yeah,
remove that, how are you going to get a senior artist?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
and I have no idea. And I've brought it this like a couple times. In my last, I had a debate with in Ape's channel, and the
yeah,
first thing I said was exactly that. It's like, well, you have a process, and in this case, I used lawyers. Lawyers when they start, what is it that they do most of the time? They read contracts. All they do all day long is just read contracts. They read, they amend the contract, they move on, and they do it again and again. And once you're a senior lawyer, what you're doing is you are using all of that knowledge that you got from reading and amending contracts to create contracts.
yeah,
And
yeah,
once we have the AI doing all of that job, how are you gonna get senior lawyers?
yeah,
Because they need to be able to read the contracts and understand the contract law and check everything. It's the same with art. It's like, okay, you have an iterative process, doing over and over again. You're learning how to fix anatomy. You're learning how to do proportion. You're learning how to set the piece art, so that you have a good idea of the piece of the art. And I just don't have an idea how we're gonna do that. It makes no sense to me.
doesn't make sense to me either. This is the same argument that I don't think programmers have come to grips with either. It's exactly the same. Well, not exactly the same, but along the same lines. If you have programmers who do not go through the process of generating code, breaking it, figuring out how to fix it, etc., how will you get programmers who are capable of becoming intermediate or senior level? Because you're going to run out of junior programmers at some point.
Yeah.
And the junior ones that we have now are going to be like the last batch, so to speak. Um,
I have
so I
something to
completely
show you,
agree. Yeah, go for it.
and it's gonna be something that's gonna piss you off. Um,
Of course it is.
so the quartering, which I don't, do you know who he is?
I know who he is. Yeah.
Yeah, he became kind of a meme, but he made a post
Ah,
today, and he's like, I don't think we'll have catastrophic the consequence of AI. They don't have an idea. Oops. And then Andrew, our friend Andrew, decides to go on as well. Just to point out that while you are correct and these technologies far from developed, that there was a huge social upheaval over the sewing machine, and I mean a real
yeah.
panic. I think this
Yeah.
goes with the same kind of idea of, well, it's just a tool, bro. What do you think of
Yep.
this?
Um, I hate Andrew for this. I'm just gonna be honest. He's I've debated with Andrew offline about this before, and he brings up some good points about these AI systems, and he's brought up some good arguments about where it's gonna lead. Um, but unfortunately for Andrew, he lacks the technical knowledge to understand what's going on, and he lacks the breadth of scientific awareness, like studies, especially longitudinal studies that have been done on these systems and how they work. Um, and so when he jumps on like this, and you know, essentially participates in fear mongering, yeah, I hate him for it. Okay, I don't hate him for it, but I hate that he does this. I think part of it is just he's not exactly like, yeah, like I said, he's just not up to speed with the information, and um, I don't bother him. He doesn't bother me, kind of a thing. We're both busy people. We have better things to do than debate each other over AI, especially him. But I did post. He on his account, on his X, like his actual X account, he posted something as a follow up to this, and I unfortunately had to kind of like softly say that you're wrong. Um, so I just it's not just a tool, unfortunately, because it's not even a tool. It's barely a tool. And you cannot compare it to previous things. I think somebody responded to him and said like a sewing machine. I think even in this thread down below, somebody said like a sewing machine cannot iteratively reproduce itself or expand itself or whatever. And then he had some response to that too. I don't remember what it was,
I think you're
but
talking about this one.
calculators.
The hidden decision
Yeah,
machine could not operate itself, nor did it have the potential to iterate upon itself.
that's right.
And it
That's
says
right.
similar arguments were made against automation during the late industrialization. I don't think this is true. I think people were mad at them losing their jobs, but I don't think anybody talk about iteration on itself, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so if I was to steal Man Andrew's point, it would be something like, well, maybe not self iteration, but humans iterated it. You had humans who created sewing machines over and over and over and over again. And from that perspective, I can see kind of what he's saying is that it, it iterates through man's production, right? Um, However, still the argument falls flat because a sewing machine cannot talk back to you. A sewing machine does not have, any amount of what is considered to be like logical or reasoning processes or random determination or things like that. These are very different things. Um, and I would argue that a sewing machine is far more useful than an AI. So in a way, I would even flip the argument and I would say we should we if we didn't have a sewing machine today, we should actually be more fearful of what a sewing machine would do to the industry than what AI would do to the industry.
So, you think the industry? Okay. You think the AI? I got lost a little bit in that last part of the argument. You think the sewing machine did more to destroy like the clothing industry of its time that AI will do to the industry right
Y-
now?
Yeah, yeah. I think we should be more fearful. Imagine the sewing machine did not exist today
Mm-hmm.
and it was just about to come out. Somebody's like, "Yeah, I've got the sewing machine. I'm ready." And we also have AI. You don't put AI in the sewing machine or anything. They're two separate concepts, but they're emerging at the same time. I would be more panicked as they were back in the days of the sewing machine becoming industrialized. I would be more panicked today about the sewing machine than I would be about AI, given what I know about AI.
And this is because you think AI is not a good tool at all.
Correct.
Uh,
It has an ontological, it has a state of being, kind of like what you said, right? So yeah, I think I'm glad we talked because the thing you said about it generating mecha art. An AI system is not capable of understanding. It does not have a reasoning ability. It doesn't have logic. So it cannot determine that an arm must move this way or that way due to mechanical and whatever you want to call it, mechanical systems or whatever. I'm not saying it right, but you get the point. Like
yeah.
an arm needs a joint and bolts over here and a gear over there. It can't think that way. It 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 operates. I can explain how it does artwork, but it's kind of like beside the point, really. It simply cannot come up with these kinds of like logical patterns to produce outputs, including artistic things. So imagine that you had an AI machine that could control a sewing machine. Well, you'd still need to have somebody who was artistic,
Mm.
right? That's kind of your point that I think I agree with here. I know I agree with. Because if you let an AI machine sew any clothing and come up with like a random design, you're going to get pretty crappy clothing in terms of quality and design, and you're going to do it in mass.
So okay, moving to one of the topics I really want to move on or to talk about.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it would be like giving this because this is something happening in coding. I think there's a lot of people using AI to create code, And you're saying that it's pretty much like it would be the same as if we have a self sewing machine that creates its own designs and patterns, but they're very crappy.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
code would be or is very crappy, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I can explain it. Like, um, every single study that exists out there for AI code, for AI generated code,
Mm-hmm.
shows that across the board on all frontier models, you have code that is generated with at least at least an average of 50% error rates in the code. Even if you have code that you use to test code, like you can ask AI, write me a test for existing code,
Okay.
the error rates are actually higher. So even test cases that AI writes fail. You can't even get it to run, first of all, and then when you run, it doesn't test properly.
Mm.
These are well known. There's no study um, that I'm aware of, anyways, and I've gone through many of them that show that AI can generate high quality code or even intermediate level code or code that would be considered intermediate level with any amount of consistency to be worthy of note. Like there's like a p variance, deviation thing, and it's never noteworthy. It's always extremely niche and inconsistent. And part of the reason why it's inconsistent is because there's a random nature built into the AI system, and so it randomly picks from all available options, especially as it has more and more options. It has to necessarily, like, it can't load all of the available options. It loses memory really quickly. So
Mm.
actually, the more options and more data you give it about code, the less ability it has to be able to discern what's proper and what isn't, and so it has to filter out and all of that and randomly pick between one and yada yada. And just it continues to get worse and worse.
Okay.
So what ends up happening is you have a bunch of studies of programmers who go, "Oh, but AI is making me very productive." Yeah, based on what? Based on self-reported productivity. Because when you're like me right now and you get to type in a prompt and then you just, sit back and you grab your coffee and you wait for the AI system to generate your code, yeah, you're feeling productive because you can do multiple things at once, right? But then at the end of the day, right, you want to go change your code and you realize that your code is completely broken. And so you've lost time. So on studies that actually show real productivity, like quantifiable productivity, people lose time to code-based AI systems.
Okay.
And sometimes it happens right away, and sometimes it happens over long-term use.
So this what you're trying to say in other words, or I'm gonna try to bring up an idea. It would be
Yeah.
like me going to Reddit, and let's say that I want to do a simple code, the hello world code, and there's like 5 different ways of doing it. The AI will, I would go ahead and find an identifier like I don't know, Python, and I would go with the Python one, and I could just code it as it's in there. But
Yeah.
AI will have problem to find this, and they will just randomly choose one of the 5 different options, right?
Well, it's just a little bit different than that. So let's use Andrew's example here because he talks about like what you're going to see is women going against AI, an uprising against AI, because it's going to impact their sex work, um, and it's going to impact, I think, something like office work or clerical work, something like that. He brings it up somewhere. It might even be on his own account, on the latest post
Yeah,
of his own account.
I'm gonna find it. I don't wanna, X is weird, and so I'm gonna do it here, and I'll bring it up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So he talks about that. Emma will bring it up, but so if we take that example, this has also been studied. There are there was a company in China that studied this. There were several hundreds of companies. And yeah, here we go. It's a moral campaign against AI. Yeah, women will begin a moral campaign against AI due to the fact that it will destroy clerical work, sex work, and food service. The trades will remain largely unchanged, just no secretaries asked to comment on. Now, generally, I can agree on some points. Trades, Yeah, we say eventually all women will go back to the kitchen, clean the house, and raise the children.
Be
I
barefooted.
mean, oh, I mean, if AI did that, our society would be better off for it. It's not about enslaving women. It's although it's a funny joke to make. It's more about like men would actually have to go and like be men and go work and take care of their family, and women would be at home, supporting that, right? That'd be a good society to live in, as it has been for thousands of years, and somehow we decided that it wasn't good anymore. In any case, that's besides the point.
Yeah.
So Andrew here is kind of right on some cases. Sex work will be disrupted, but there's a reason for that. It's not because AI is good at it. So if you put AI in a sex robot, it's not because AI is good at being a sex robot. It's because the people who use AI sex robots are so perverted and degenerate that anything will do. These are going to be the same people who would see anything with two legs and female parts walking down the street, and they would just be completely overwhelmed by their desire. This is the same kind of thing. What's on top of that, you're going to have an actual issue where, unfortunately for Andrew, he's going to have to side with women on this, because you're going to see AI generated, I guess, entities put into bots that mimic, let's say, people who are not of an adequate age to participate in certain activities.
Yes, I understand.
And right. And where's the moral claim against that? Tell me how that's immoral, right? And you're going to have to there's a whole bunch of stuff missing there, even on the parts where I can agree with him on. However, clerical work, so just to tie this back to what you were saying with the programming, let's take clerical work. You have someone sitting in an office,
Mhm.
and they have to do things like schedule meetings, your calendar, coordinate like payroll, perhaps, data entry. There's a few things that go into clerical work. Some of it is simple, but some of it isn't. And even simple tasks. So, from our perspective with the brain, we'll go, how hard is it to balance a calendar, right? How hard is it for a woman, you know, with what is, according to this argument here, an ass to comment on, ass worthy of commenting on. How hard is it for her to sit in an office and look pretty and balance the calendar? And you go, an AI could do that, right? Surely it could do that.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, companies are doing this in the UK, in China, in certain parts of Asia. I can't remember where. I want to say Singapore, maybe. Um, some in the United States are now realizing that AI cannot do this. And the reason why is actually really simple, because AI can only handle so much data. So when an AI fails, the initial solution to the failure is, oh, it's just lacking data, that it just picked wrong because it doesn't have enough data. But when you give it more data, that lives as memory
Yeah.
on your machine. Just like a big video game, when you run it, will take up memory on your machine.
Mhm.
And there's a certain point where the AI system cannot sift through all the available data. It cannot sift through all the employees' calendars. It cannot cross reference them. It cannot make a good determination about who to balance when and where, because it doesn't have all the context. And even if it did have all the context, it wouldn't be able to filter out all the context because it's limited in memory and processing power. And so when it makes decisions, it is unknowingly filtering it. It's like it doesn't know what it doesn't know. So it just has to roll the dice and go, okay, well, given all the available data I have, let me just pick from a bunch of random samples as much as I can fit, which means everything else just gets left. And then I'll do my best to balance a calendar. You're going to find, as companies have through scientific studies and surveys I've gone over, that even something as quote unquote as simple as clerical work is not so simple for an AI system. And in fact, it leads to disastrous results. So I have to unfortunately agree with Andrew. I hate the fact that he's doing this, but that goes towards what you were saying about programming. The problem is, the more data you give it, the less capable it is of being correct about its results.
Yeah. Well, what I was saying is, let's say that you have 8 different solutions for a specific problem, but in the way that you have structure the game or the data, you actually have two solutions, right? And
Yeah.
AI will not be able to actually pick the correct solution, even though it is correct in the sense of it is used like people use this to make a solution for this specific problem, but the way that you have the structure, it's not a realistic solution. I think that's a lot of I think that those are some of the problems that you see in with AI. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm correct, but I would think that would be like a problem.
Yeah. So think about it this way. It, if we're going to be as realistic as we can in this scenario, it would be something akin to you have a problem and there are actually five solutions available,
Mm-hmm.
like real actual solutions available, and then it would have to pick from one of those five, and that is an easy thing for it to do because when the complexity level is low and there are not very many solutions, well, the likelihood of it getting it right is really high, especially if it's gone through a human filter who has already gone through related questions and determined whether answers from the AI system have been good or not. But if you suddenly have 1,000 correct answers, and the only difference between them is simply the quality of the answer. Some of them are going to be slower, some of them are going to be faster, some are
Okay.
less secure, some are more secure, etc. But it can only hold 50 solutions in memory. Now, what you're doing is necessarily excluding 950 possible solutions. And it doesn't know how to go through all of them, at first and pick out the best ones. So it's got to roll the dice and say, okay, well, I think this is the best, so you're not really sure what's even missing out of that. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Like what you're saying is there's a lot of data, and what we've been doing is just dump more and more data into the program, and now it just can hold a certain amount of data, and it will at some point it will roll the dice on what is the solution. Um,
Yeah.
and since it doesn't have like a logical framework, because it cannot actually produce logical, like a logic behind it, it will not necessarily give you the best solution. I was trying to ask you something very similar in the sense of I know that there are especially data structures that doesn't allow you to use any kind of solution, especially in programming. That there you have to use certain steps or certain logical ideas in those kind of data sets for you
Right.
to be able to make a program. So
Right.
it excludes a lot of possibilities because of the way that it's being set. And I think AI doesn't have a way of realizing that you have those kind of systems. It will just give you a solution in accordance to
Yeah.
whatever it is that he has in data. And it can be a wrong solution. It can have like good solutions, but it will give you a random solution at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. So I can kind of explain briefly how artwork is generated, how videos and images are generated in
Yeah,
AI, and you can
I would
see
love that.
exactly how this plays out. Okay. So this is a good example of it. That's why I bring this up right now because we're talking about like the very nature of how this works. So when you have an image that you need to generate through AI, um, it's called a diffusion process.
Mm-hmm.
And what it'll do, depending on the model, right? So it's a bit different depending on model, but essentially what it does is it will either take an existing image that is similar to the prompt you gave it. If it knows that, it would have to be trained on that, or the data would have to exist, and things would have to be tagged by humans, and it could then look up and cross reference.
Yeah.
Um, or it will generate a random image. Now, in either case, whether the random image is generated or whether like automatically generated by the AI, or whether a random image is picked from an existing set of images that are similar to the prompt, they both end up in the same place. The the AI system will put static noise. It will generate static noise across the entire image. So it will either generate an entire image from scratch that's just pure static noise, so it's just black and white spots all over. When you look at it, it looks like nothing. It looks like the TV went out or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, or it will take an existing image and it will apply static noise over it. And then what it will do is it will remove noise step by step and choose based on a certain level of randomness and based on whatever previous I guess you could say previous training that it has received on where to detect things like an arm or an eye, and then placing and removing noise over that, doing that repeatedly and learning from that. It will attempt to do that when you're asking it to generate an image. So as it removes the noise in either scenario, you get a somewhat random noise removal process as well, because it's not going to remove noise consistently every frame of video or every pixel of an image. And when it's doing video, it gets worse, because what it has to do is it has to pick portions of that static noise to remove and then consistently remove or keep them. And this is why over long frame periods, especially with video, you see AI derail so quickly, because if it so happens to remove noise over an arm that in the first 3 frames is an accurate representation of an arm, it doesn't always know that it needs to keep that arm consistently across the next few frames. And so it will regenerate noise sometimes over that arm, or the arm will move and it won't understand that the arm has moved because it's removed the noise that it supposedly keeps it anchored to reality. And so then you get like 3 arms, or then you get like, Will Smith eating like the spaghetti and it looks all weird, because all of this at the end of the day is just it's literally throwing spaghetti at the wall and then removing spaghetti until you get something that is similar to artwork underneath. That's really how it operates. So think about that for your code. Think about that for your clerical solutions here, and AI doesn't even have a nice ass to comment on. Think about that for sex work. Like, what's gonna happen when the AI robot decides, like, hey, I'm down here. I think maybe you'd like it if I just like bit this thing right off. Like, how do you know it's not like, this is insane, right? But this is how this stuff operates.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it will go to a point in which it's random and you don't know what is going to happen.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of there are some when you said that about biting off. There are a lot of people who do crazy stuff, and I don't see any like moral qualms when it comes to an object, right? Because at the end of the day, it will be an object, and it's not related to the idea of a human per se. It
Yeah.
might look human, but it's not a human.
Yeah.
So I I really don't think that even Christians have really thought about these kind of moral propositions as of yet. Like we think about
Yeah.
them in very specific cases, and most of the times the answers we've given is, well, it's not realistic, it's not a real thing, it's not a true thing. But it's getting to
Yeah.
that point where we're gonna have to deal with that.
Yeah. You know,
Um,
in in China, they have sex robot shops. They've been doing this since, geez, I want to say early 2000s. We went over a video maybe a little bit later than that,
yeah.
but they mass produce sex robots over there. So it's not just a future incoming thing. It's now.
Well, what I mean is, it's not a future income thing. It is something that's going on right now, but
Yeah.
it's not like it hasn't come into full force into like the main sphere. Most people haven't seen one. We're getting there, but most people don't have one or have seen one.
Yeah.
Um, I'm gonna change a little
Yeah.
bit of the topic. This is something I wanted
Sure.
to ask a person. There's a lot of claims on the internet. This is something that I was looking at today when I was trying to figure out if there was like any articles about game development, and I saw like instead of looking at articles about how AI is affecting games, I got a bunch of uh, like news from Google that it says AI helped me create this game. AI
Yeah.
made this game for me. AI is just AI coding is doing this for me.
Yeah.
I was able to finish my game because of AI. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Have you seen that or heard about that?
Yes. Um, so there's a guy on X called Levels IO, all one word, and he made this very prominent. He made a bunch of money doing I don't remember what, something in the programming space, if I remember correctly. I can't remember. I might be wrong about that. And he became very popular. Um, yeah, multi-millionaire, popular person. And then he used AI to generate a bunch of terrible, terrible games, like absolutely terrible games. But people praised it. They're like, "Holy crap! If he can do this, in an evening, so to speak." I don't think it was quite an evening, but in some cases, actually, I think it was later on. Then think about where AI is going to get us to. We're going to be able to build all kinds of games. However, all the games that he built, if you look at what these people built, right? So you can take the claims in and of themselves, you can grant them, you can say, okay, that's great. You made a game. Now, what kind of game was it? They're all crap. They all suck. They're definitely not AAA titles. They're definitely not indie game levels. And if they are indie game levels, the only reason why they got there is because they started with crap and then somebody went in and put a lot of effort into making them indie level worthy or close to it. So what's happening is that people are jumping on the hype train and they're just going along with the flow. It's just status quo. Everyone else is doing it, so I'm going to do it too. And then I'm going to justify the time I wasted building a game that nobody wants to play because AI, though. And a lot of the things that happen with these games when they're actually produced, if you actually go to play them, they not only have art deficiencies, which I think you, Emmett, would be able to pick up on right away if you looked at the actual art of the game, because the AI generates stupid art, but they also have quality deficiencies. They have bugs. They don't work very well. Certain features and mechanics work only up to a certain point. They're incomplete. They're bloated and large in size. They're not performant. Some of them are slow and laggy. Okay, so you did that what, like over the course of a day, and you wasted a whole bunch of energy, and now what are you going to do with it? It's just you're just making junk for the sake of making junk, and then wasting everyone's time, money, and energy for it. That's what this all boils down to. And Gare Games in chat is also a game developer. He can attest to this. It's a terrible use of games. It's probably one of the worst ways you can use AI right now.
Yeah, I've been look. Most of the things that I see, and this happens a lot of times, is somebody makes a um, and this happens a lot in our industry too. Somebody makes a like a crappy game, they put it online, and then they're like, "I am the greatest developer ever." And I think this is getting exacerbated with AI. They're like, "Oh, I make this crappy game, and I made it in an afternoon, and now it was done by AI, so it has to be amazing." That's pretty much
Yep.
what you mean, right? Yeah.
Yep. Yep. That's right.
There's something to be said, and this is in the industry, well, in the gaming industry in general, but like art in general is also like this. Like you have to spend the time and get it right so that people will be drawn to it and want to play it. And it's
Yep.
just how it is.
Yep.
Um, I have a. I'm gonna move on real quick. We're gonna be talking
Mhm.
about your what you're gonna be doing this Thursday. I'm gonna be very general because I don't want you to give away any of your arguments, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. This.
But
So not this Thursday. Then I think it's the next Thursday. Yeah.
I thought it was the
14th.
7th.
It's the 14th. 14th, bro.
14th.
Professional
Okay.
streamer.
Professional streamer. Yeah. My eye was wrong. Anyway.
Hey.
um, well, first off, remember that we're gonna have our own space on Saturday. So if you feel crappier about that because somebody made you feel unhappy with your performance, the BDSD um,
Yeah.
hotline will
Cope
be
session.
available for you for the cup
Yeah.
session. I hope to see you there
Yeah.
at least for a moment, so you can call in and feel better about it.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? You have any like? Do you think you're ready? Are you still getting prepped for it?
I am still getting prepped for it. I Yeah, I was watching the panel last night to see some of the people on there again and kind of get a sense of their argumentation. You were there for part of it. I strongly suspect that what's going to happen is I'm going to be rattling off studies that I remember because my memory is actually really, really good when it comes to research for this. I'm going to be able to state facts and studies and science and demonstrate that I understand a lot more than anybody on that panel about how these systems work. And as a result, people on the panel who argue against me are going to have to resort to pulling up AI and asking it questions live in order to counter me. That's what I think is going to happen. And um, it that might make things difficult because I'm going to have to do like a double filter. I'm going to have to filter the AI, first of all, the AI answers that are generated from people doing that. And then I'm going to have to filter for the stupidity behind the person who repeats or parrots what the AI says. Um, so it's going to be difficult. I do have some arguments that I don't think people are thinking about at all, and nor have I spoken of except to like one or two people.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, and I'm saving those. So I think I'm going to be challenged a bit, but I have a lot of I'm probably going to, eat my own words here, but I have a lot of confidence in my ability to state the facts and the truth of the matter and draw things to logical conclusions and corner people into proving their whatever positive claims they have about AI. I hope Andrew doesn't show up because he might actually he can make me run for my money. I've tangled with him twice on AI, and he's given me a pause for thought.
I think
Um,
he's gonna. It's. I don't think it's likely, but he might show up. He's been showing up
I hope
lately.
not. I
Um.
hope I hope he stays far away.
Well, there's a lot of time. There's some people have asked me, like, would you want to debate Andrew? My answer is no, and it has nothing to do with. Well, I don't have an actual thing that I think I disagree a lot with. And the
Yeah,
second part is he's way more charismatic than I am, so why would I want
yeah,
to debate him?
yeah. I,
Um,
you know, I will say, a part of me does kind of want him to come on and debate me. I'm not really afraid of him. By the way, Cheng, on your chat, you suck. Okay, shut it. You suck. You don't get to come in here and derail Emmett's stream by telling me I suck. You suck. All right. Um, now, I'm not afraid to debate Andrew on this topic. As a matter of fact, Andrew has admitted that I know more about this topic than he does. And I think that just kind of makes sense, right? I think he understands that makes sense. He doesn't really care about this. Like, come on, he has better things to do, right?
well, I think he's
So
using it
in
as a way to put out his main argument. He's more interested in the social ideas and how
right,
it's gonna affect the society in general. So in this case, it's
right,
like, well, women are just doing these clerical jobs and poofing their asses off. So now that we have
right.
AI, we don't need them. It's a you know makes sense that he would jump into that kind of that train of
Yeah,
logic.
it would. It would. It's right up his alley. So, I mean, even though we come at it from two different sides on this particular topic, because he has a different perspective on what's going to happen with AI, which I won't. Yeah, I'm not going to say it for him. If he wants to, he can say it. Um, and I might disagree with that perspective at least to a certain degree. Um, we have actually come to an agreement on where we think AI is going to end up. And again, I'll let him talk about that. And I'm not going to bring it up because that's kind of like the final place. I have brought it up before, so if anybody's been paying attention, they'll know that I've brought it up. But I'm saving it because it requires a little bit of thinking to determine where this thing is going to end up, and you have to have a little bit of technical knowledge, which Andrew, by the way, does have. He's a lot smarter than people give him credit for. All right, I get messages every day about how dumb Andrew is, and I'm like, it's like, no, unfortunately, I don't see it. Um, but still, having said that, I think there is a part of me that would like for him to come on and debate me. It would be fun, and I will tangle with him. I'm not afraid of him. I've tangled with him before, but to another degree, I am afraid of him, and I don't want to tangle him on this, right? So, um, it would be interesting, but I think the problem. I think if Andrew is smart, he'll avoid it because what he'll do is he'll allow all the people who are too smooth brained to understand what's going on. He'll allow them to be destroyed by me, and then he'll just go and pick up whatever's left. I think
Yeah,
that would be his better play.
yeah, that makes sense. I'm gonna go ahead and read that. I think this is important. He says, "Ever notice how all the smartest people claim they aren't that smart?" And yeah, that I think part of being smart is being humble enough to realize you're not that smart.
Well, no, but I don't know how
Except
to
Spiro,
describe this
because
one.
Spiro is super smart and he just knows everything.
No, no. Ask my. She wouldn't tell you because she loves me too much. But God, have an awesome wife. She wouldn't actually ever say anything, even if you did ask her, because eh, she does love me this much. I really appreciate it. But if somehow you had a magic button and you could get her to be completely openly honest about like my stupidity, her and I would agree. You could just listen to her talk for about an hour on some of the stupid stuff that I do, and I'd be like, "Yep." No, but like I really am stupid. No, I genuinely am. You guys shouldn't be. Wait, if I don't want anybody to look at me as some kind of role model because I am not a role model of any kind. What I would prefer, my preference, is that people use their brain. That's what I want. Just use your brain. I can use my brain and I can make myself a little bit less stupid. And so far it's worked reasonably well for me. Um, and that's it. I just want you to do the same. That's all. Just everyone else, please do the same. We need more brain usage.
Yeah, it makes sense. At the end of the day, well, at the end of the day, we have a person that we are looking to when it comes to being the standard. At least I think in your case as well. I don't know if you are
Yeah.
Christian or not, but I think you are. So we have a standard of how we're supposed to act. So we don't have idols on earth that tells us how to act. But um,
Right.
yeah, that makes sense.
Right. Chang, listen, Chang, shut your dirty, dirty mouth, okay? And you know what, Chang? Just because you said that, I'm not that smart, and I'm still smarter than you, Chang. Okay? So you can take that and go do your clerical work, your monkey-brained clerical work. That was kind of rude, but still, you deserve it, Chang. And laugh, I will unmod you and permaban you.
Laugh is gonna get unbanned. Yeah, on mod and permabanned.
Yeah.
Good. I mean the cool thing is I have Agrilepolis as my mod right now. He will destroy all of these people if I bring the hammer.
Good. Good. Uh,
um, I think this has been a really really cool interview. I don't want to take a lot of your time. It's been already like an hour and a half. I have
yeah, man.
I have a couple of like let's do two last questions, and
Sure, sure,
after
yeah.
that,
Whatever you want.
after that you can just give me your. I'll let you go ahead, plug in your channel, and
Sure.
we can finish on whichever. So
Sounds good.
I have to ask. This is important for the channel. What is your favorite game?
My favorite game?
Yeah.
My favorite game of all time is the one I'm rebuilding on stream, which I have to get back to this week.
Uh,
Uncharted Waters New Horizons for the Super Nintendo. That's my personal one. The amount of complexity that went into that game for the hardware at the time and the software capabilities at the time still blows me away today. It's a testament to how much you can do with very, very little. Laugh and Gare, for example, in chat, and I think you yourself too, Emmett, would agree. There are certain game mechanics in games which are based on simpler principles. They sound simple when you explain them, but when you mix them together well enough and you put a lot of thought into how they're implemented, you can even, I think Laughs brought this up before, it's like a lateral expansion of a game mechanic as opposed to like stacking more mechanics on top of mechanics. You take an existing mechanic and you just reapply the same mechanic, but with a bit of a twist, or it's the same mechanic applied to a different paradigm, things like this. That's the kind of stuff that game reminds me of. The game design of it was incredible. The software ingenuity of it was incredible, and the limitation of the hardware, the ability to play that game was incredible. And then it quickly breaks down into like probably Final Fantasy Tactics is high up there. Ocarina of Time is high up there. 007 GoldenEye is up there. There's another one that I can't remember it right now. Chrono Trigger, obviously, it's up there. Some of the Xenoblade games, just there's one or two in particular that are pretty good because they're less degenerate or not degenerate at all, and they're just fun to play and good mechanics. Some of those are up there. But my top one is that game, Uncharted Waters: New Horizons.
Okay. And my last question will be, do you? Well, I've had an idea of a game, haven't actually done any work of it. This was
Yeah.
like I always have. If I had like a perfect job, it would be a game designer because I would just come up with ideas of games, and then I would have
Yeah.
like a team to work them off. So
Yeah.
my idea is, uh, it's a colony simulator, but instead of having a colony, you have a ship, and you go to different places to make the ship bigger. It's pretty much Rimworld, but in a ship. What do you think about that?
Hmm. 2D or 3D?
It would be 2D with sea levels, and then you have like the generator, or it's not a generator. It's the you go to different places and it generates the map pretty much and the things in the map, and you can just grow your ship all the way to have like a mega ship. That would be the point.
Are you going to be doing at least some of the code yourself? You're just going to pick up something like RPG Maker or something and just go for it?
If I were to be doing that, I'll probably go and do it in like, I would get people to do the coding for me. I don't.
Okay.
I have to be honest. I'm not a coder. I enjoy
Yeah.
it and I know the logic behind it, but it's
Yeah.
not for me. just
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it's not for
Yeah.
me.
Okay.
Is
Okay.
Champon your artist?
No.
Seems
No.
like the
Uh
artwork in the Spyro's game is pretty good. I have to admit. And so for a moment, he was your artist.
oh wait, maybe he is. I don't know. There's Laughing Panda is on Twitch chat, on my Twitch chat. He's the artist. I don't know if that's Cheng on YouTube. I have no idea. I could be him. I'll never know. I don't think the icon. It might actually be Damn it! It might be Laughing Panda. And anyways, if it's Laughing Panda, then I take back everything I said. And Cheng, I am unworthy of your attention. So Laughing Panda on Twitch. But if it's not Cheng, then you're just culturally appropriating Laughing Panda's work. Screw you, Cheng. You suck. No, so Laughing Panda on Twitch, and on my Discord, he's a solid guy. I like that guy. He's been following me for a while, and he and I are good friends, helping with a lot of the artwork. I won't say anything about his personal life. He does something completely different, not related to gaming or programming or anything like that. Not even game artwork, nothing. A very different field. And he sat down and went through 2D pixel art courses on YouTube and created a lot of the pixel art that I use on stream when I work on the video game. And like he just took it upon himself to do it and then created some. And so it is you, Cheng. So Cheng is Laughing Panda. All right. So Cheng, you're solid dude. W's in chat for Cheng. He does really good artwork. I need some more artwork, by the way, Cheng. Okay, get to work. All right, you've been slacking off. All right. Um, so yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah, that's so. Unfortunately for you, I think I have to give you some advice that I've had to take on myself with regards to the design stuff. You need to try and keep it simple.
Yeah.
Um, so when you're thinking about the game design, you are not going to be doing the code, so you're going to ask someone else to do it. And if you think about what would probably be required to get somebody to create the code for an ever expanding ship, that can be complicated. Even from a game design perspective,
Yeah.
you'd probably admit that there's some complication to that.
Yeah,
So,
it's based on very complicated games. Even the idea is based on
yeah,
very complicated games. So yeah, I get it.
right, right. So what you want to do is you want to set yourself up for success, right? So what you do is you break from a game. You can do this at the game design level, and it will benefit the programming. Break it down to really small, very few pieces of extensions that you can make for a ship, and they serve a very specific purpose, and they're put together, right? So instead of thinking about it as like the Minecraft of ships, think about it as like modules that are come complete packages, and maybe make like 3 modules, and start there with the mechanics for that. Start smaller than you would even initially think to start with,
Hmm?
and then if you're going to ask somebody to help you code the game, then at the very least you're not overwhelming yourselves with a huge set of game designs that you have to
Well, yeah, it would
design on
be.
your end, put artwork in, programming, etc. Right?
Yeah, correct. Okay, I'll let you now do ahead and plug yourself in. Is there anything you want to say? You have the floor, Spiro.
Sure. So Cheng sucks. Laughing Panda sucks. All right. Get back to work. I need more artwork. Okay. You need to build me a few ships, man. I have to get back to video game streams this week. I need to get back to it. I'm going to do my best here. And so my channel is just my name on YouTube, Spiro, and then the long, stupid Greek name. It's in the title. Here, I might as well just pull it up here. Let me see if I can do this right. I'll just pop the link in there.
I'm
That
gonna
would be
put it
my
on chat.
YouTube. Okay, awesome. Yeah, so that'll be my YouTube. There we go. And then you can also have a look at enlightenedprogramming.com. That one. Thank you, Emmett. Yeah, there you go. I appreciate it, Emmett. Thank you. Oh, you even pulled it up. There you go. Thank you. Yeah. I'm going to be doing a daily tech news stream after this, shortly after this. We're going to be doing some cybersecurity reviews because I'm behind on that. Enlightenedprogramming.com is where I put all of my work. Every single study, every single article, every single survey, all my videos are linked up there. They're all categorized, structured, searchable. You can search up like health, cybersecurity issues I've gone over, AI, technocracy, all of it's there. And it's a good way to financially support me. If you've done a super chat or you're subbed on Twitch or something, you just get access to it. You can just DM me on Discord and I'll just give you access to it. Or you can just send a tip for $10 and you get access to it. That way, if you care about the information, it's all there and like easily searchable for you, instead of having to scroll through all my YouTube and everything. And then yeah, I'm on X. I have a Discord. The Discord links are in the descriptions in the videos. What else? I think that's it. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, for my part, thank you so much for coming, Spiro. It was a great talk. I've seen you, especially lately. I've been like on your chat and on your channel.
Yeah, yeah. It's been nice to have you, man. Honestly,
Uh,
yeah.
Sometimes I'm not like in chat, but I'm listening to you because I think all of what you're
Yeah.
saying is pretty cool. I, it's good to have someone that is the reality side of things, because most of the time what you hear when it comes to AI is like how amazing and perfect and amazing and great it is,
Yeah.
and for me it pretty much seems, or I think it is like the Tower of Babel. Like people are doing the Tower of Babel again, and they think it's gonna be
Right.
it's gonna come to a different conclusion, and it never does. We're gonna
Right.
end up in the same place that we were in the past. So yeah, thank you so
Yeah.
much for being here and for giving me the time, and even for
No, 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 no,
your
no, no, no. No, no, no. You don't thank me. I thank you. It's your channel. You had me on. Your chat's been great. There's people obviously from my side. If you're on my side, make sure you I need you guys to like the video right now on my side. Make sure you like it. Help Emmett out. He's a cool guy. And he's like fun to be around, and he, it's been awesome to have him. I'm glad you're here, and thank you for giving me your time to let me come on and talk about this. And I really want to do this again, man. We always have a good time talking off stream too. So we have to be on stream again and do this again. This was good.
yeah, I would really I mean at some point maybe we can go ahead and do like a simple game that would be
Yeah.
fun to do. Um, I'm a very like you know your artist is probably way better than I am, even though I that's what I do.
Yeah.
Because I take
Yeah.
time. It takes me like a lot of time to get into the mood to do things. So usually I am behind the scenes, but I do like animations and everything. So
Yeah.
we'll
Yeah.
talk about it. We'll see what we do
We'll
later.
team up. We'll team
Yeah.
up. It'll be good. It'll be good.
Yep. So I'll be letting you go. I'll be on stream for a little while. I think you're gonna be streaming too. So
Yeah.
I might just give my thanks and my goodbye on my end. I gotta do something, and then I'll be back today later on to do our review on a. I want to do a review on the Glenn Lawrence versus Marte, the whole debate about um, what is it about polygyny, the which is
Polygyny.
yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
So I want to go
Yeah.
ahead and see
Yeah.
what they said. I haven't seen the whole debate. I've been like I put it on like 4 or 5 times, and there's always coming up. So I'll be doing that today a little bit later on.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll be going.
That should be a good one.
I'll be seeing you later. See you later, Spiro.
Thank you, Emmett. Make sure you guys show support for Emmett. I'm out of here. I'm gonna go prep for my stream. Have a good one, Emmett. We'll see you. We'll probably talk to each other later today. Honestly.
Yeah, probably.
All right. Bye, man. Bye, everybody. You all suck. All of you suck. Every single one of you sucks.
I
Bye.
have to say this, Spiro, because you always tell me, Spiro, you fucking suck. Okay, bye. Get out of here. Every single time he has to tell me I suck, so it was about time I said it back. um. Oh, welcome, Abe. Yeah, it's been a while. Well, you also like went on for a long time, so it's understandable. I didn't let him reply, which is nice. First time. There's always a first time for everything. Um, yeah, I'll be coming back maybe in a couple of hours. I'm gonna go ahead and rest a little bit. My my throat is a little bit sore, but I want to go over the debate, see what they said. There's gonna be a lot of things, especially in that debate, when it comes to a scripture that I'm not gonna be able to comment, to give any comment. But I want to see like what was the basic, like the basic things that were said there, and have an idea. Uh, Remember to go to Spiro. He was great. It was an amazing talk. Thank you all. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a rest, and I'll be back a little bit later on. I do have a place that I could send you. Um, I think you all can see him. So we're gonna go ahead and send you to this guy. He made he talked about my debate with Grace, and I think he did a great job. So we're gonna do a Gatorade 2 to cool stream live. made get a raid, say hi on our end, and just give him a like, give him a sub if you're not subbed. He's a cool dude. He's pretty nice, and I'll be back later on today. Thank you everyone for watching. As I said, give me a couple of hours and I'll be back. So yeah, now go watch him. Go. Have a great day.